Hello, hello, hello. I am Dan Dakich, and you have come to the right place. I got to put this shirt down so my shoulders look a little square for my girl dad shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to ask you a question. So I want you to do this. I want you to think about this. We live in a country where when a balloon flies over, we're cool, man. We're fine. We don't panic. But imagine you lived in a war-torn country. Imagine you lived somewhere under attack by the Russians. Imagine. I actually brought a player over from I guess it was the former Yugoslavia. I don't know. But he talked about getting bombed. Boom, bam, bam, bam. He's playing basketball and there's a bombs going on. Imagine. All right? Imagine you don't hear sirens for a long time. I mean, imagine this. But yet you're sitting there and you are in a war-torn country. And because some pandering president from the United States comes over, this happens. Let's go. Let's show you what happened yesterday.
I've been here for the past 5 days. I have not heard any explosions. I have not heard any air sirens until about half an hour ago, right when President Biden was in the center of Kyiv, as Clarissa was just mentioning.
Imagine that. Now, I want you to think about that. So for 5 days, this guy's been there. There hasn't been an explosion, hasn't been a siren, nothing. So for once, I mean, I don't even know what's going on there. Is this a plot? I don't know. I have no idea. No, a lot of people are starting to say, wait a second, we don't see footage on the war. We don't see none of this. Okay, fine. I'm going to assume that there is a war. All right? But imagine you are over there, living there, and for 5 days, as this guy on CNN said, nothing. And then you hear it. Now I want you to think about that. And then you hear it. You're a citizen of this place. And then all of a sudden, you're in a panic. I mean, hell, people in Indianapolis, I think it's like every other Saturday at 10 a.m., the emergency sirens go off and half the people here panic. This is evil, what our president did to these people. But this is our president. This is what we do. We pander for votes, anything for a vote. Now, I got to tell you, it used to be I just cared about gas price. I cared about the stock market. I don't want to hear the word inflation. And I'm still with that. And I want to get behind this. I want to get behind this president. Sure, gas prices are still higher, but they've at least come down to a reasonable rate. Stock market, at least my 401k, seems to be gaining a little bit of ground. Knock on wood. Inflation seems to be receding, although it's ridiculously high. This president is awful. He's the Jimmy Carter. Hopefully Jimmy Carter, I know he's in hospice, but he's the Jimmy Carter of our time as a president. But this is pure evil. This is unadulterated evil to do this to people. All of a sudden, I just always try to think, if I put myself in the place of these folks, what would I feel like when all of a sudden sirens go off and you're like, what in the heck's going on here? And, oh, wait a second, it's just this clown president with a photo op. That's all it is. It's a photo op. Now, I want you to think about that just for a second. This is supposedly a war. This is a war that is draining our money. This is a war where people are getting killed. I'm being told by all you smart guys on Twitter, and you know how that is, but all these smart guys, well, he had to go there because World War III is about ready to start. Oh, okay. All right, if that's what you're telling me, then fine. It's a war, whatever. Right? Okay. Well, why are we pandering in the middle of a war? See, we used to have generals as president. We used to have people of honor. Now we've got a career politician who is literally stealing our money, but that's not even the worst of it. Imagine yourself in this situation. And you wake up and you're like, man, it's been 5 days, as that reporter said, and all of a sudden, boom, what? We're in war again? I gotta take my kids off, and then you realize it's all for this clown so that he can have a photo op. Honest to God, people, and I know you don't understand this. I know, well, you guys understand, but I know most people just blindly defend their president, and that certainly was true with Trump. But my God, you can't do that. You can't do that to people. I mean, I know he's screwing the American people. I get it. I mean, he does it every single time that he can. But my God, to do that to those folks? See, we don't have any sense of that. We whine, we complain, we bitch, we moan. We're mad, we're sad, we're angry, we're glad, whatever. When, egg prices are up, these people are dealing with war. Now, seriously, these people I just can't imagine somebody in that administration saying, I think it's a really good idea if you go over there. I do. I think it's a great idea for you to go over there, stand in the middle, and we'll turn the sirens on to make it look like you're. I am not voting for this guy based on that. I'm not voting for anybody that has ever been around this guy based on that. What he just did was evil. Pure, unadulterated evil. I got something else on the political world. So Bernie Sanders, and I should have told you guys this, but Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders is giving speeches on, how bad capitalism is, how off it is, how bad it is, how ridiculous it is. Oh, okay. All right. Well, guess what? You get to charge or you get to pay $95 for it. Yeah, you get to pay $95. Oh, okay. Is that right? Oh, good. Bernie, you need a little cash? Need a little money? I mean, you're a multimillionaire. You live large. You need a little extra money to tell us how bad capitalism? Of course, Bernie Sanders says, that's just, Ticketmaster. Well, I tell you what, there's ways of doing things for free. There are ways of doing things for free, people. There are ways of saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this speech for nothing. I'm going to show up at this because capitalism sucks or whatever it is that Bernie's going to say, and I'm going to do this for nothing. My God, what a world we live in. What a crazy world. Project Veritas. I had a great line about Project Veritas is where, some guy or girl meets a guy or girl, they go to dinner and they're filming a liberal telling you how stupid liberals are and how they're screwing the American people. Their leader's a guy named James O'Keefe. He's been removed as the head of Project Veritas. Now, he is the executive director. Treatment of staff. See, treatment of staff, verbal abuse, that can be anything, right? What is verbal abuse? Hey, I'll be right back. Oh, he abused me. I don't buy any of that crap. I'm sorry. I know you do. I don't. But I don't care. I'm for treatment of staff. Now the financial malfeasance, $14,000 charter. I don't know if you need to do that. $180,000 on black cars. Now I got to tell you, it's interesting that it's $180,000 on black cars on Project Veritas because, frankly, I always wondered. You see a big motorcade, right? And you see black Tahoe, black this, black this, black this, black car, black SUV, big SUV, Suburbans, Escalades, all that stuff. And I always wondered how much those things cost. I did. I'm like, so Project Veritas told me they use black cars, $180,000. So this guy, O'Keefe, is out. All right. Here's his video statement right here from James O'Keefe at Project. I like Project Veritas. It's fun.
Even so, as a former board member told me 10 years ago, Project Veritas will never be stopped from the outside. It will only be because we stopped ourselves, right? I'll get to that, too, in a minute.
Right.
Prophetic as it may be, that is exactly where we find ourselves in the situation today. A situation where I've been stripped of my authority as CEO and removed from the board of directors. I bet you didn't know that. I'll get to that in a minute. Contrary to what public statements may say.
All right. So he's been stripped. All right. The Twitter count. Here's the Twitter count after they got rid of James O'Keefe. A lot of people don't think James O'Keefe should be removed. A lot of people think James O'Keefe is doing a really, 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 really good job. So there you go. That's their live follower account just dwindling. See, look, so how many things do you see being destroyed from the inside? The answer is you see a ton. You know, something gets popular, then all of a sudden what happens? Either money or revenge or sex infiltrates it. It's just the way the world works. It is. I'm sorry. Money, always. Sex, most times. Revenge, conflict, always. It's always that way. There's jealousies. Human nature is a mother. Human nature is absolutely a mother. And Project Veritas, which really, really did good work. Now, look, you got to understand. The mainstream legacy media is not going to pick it up, well, because it goes against liberals. All right, let's get to the next thing. I don't understand this. I've always said this. If you are the defensive coordinator of a team that gets fired, of a coach that gets fired, why are you the hot prospect? Jim Leonard, man, I look weird. Jim Leonard is interviewing like all over the place. Jim Leonard is the interim coach at Wisconsin. Jim Leonard was the defensive coordinator. Jim Leonard is interviewing with the Eagles. He was passed over by Luke Fickell. It wasn't going to work. I understand that. I was interim coach at Indiana. I wasn't going to work for Tom Crean. But Leonard is apparently widely respected throughout the league. So Leonard is interviewing a variety of places. But here's my thing. It is amazing to me how people can survive others being fired when they are part of the reason that, well, frankly, that man got fired. No, it's interesting because Leonard was on the staff. In fact, if you were going to go the hierarchy of a football staff, head coach, recruiting coordinator, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, that would be the hierarchy of a football staff. I mean, it just is. Now, there's 8 million other coaches. In fact, if you're going to go the most important guy, the weight coach and his staff is the most important guy. It used to be the academic staff, but nobody cares anymore about academics. Look, you can't give certain players anything lower than a C. That's just a fact. You cannot, they don't take classes on campus, so who cares? Academics is like way in the wayside. Now it would be the NIL guy, and that's cool. But the truth of the matter is this. Jim Leonard somehow, some way has put himself in a position of being wanted, and good for him. Good for him. See, I am a bit of a pariah, but Jim Leonard is not. Jim Leonard is the guy. And so, you know what? I say good for Jim Leonard. Period. Period. So anyway, you know, when you look at, and I've talked about this, and I haven't taken my own advice, get on the right side of the media. But in Indianapolis, the media is such dirtbag people that you can't do it. But Jim Leonard is on the right side of the media. Don Lemon got benched. And by the way, we have a guest, Darren Hayes, is coming up. Haynes, he is a reporter in Washington, D.C. I want to talk to him about a few things. One, I want to talk to him about, all right, here comes Eric Bieniemy. What is the expectation on Eric Bieniemy? Right? I mean, come on. Number two, Sam Howell is going to be the quarterback? See, in my world, I don't know salary structure. I have no idea. None. Zero. Zip. But I do know this. In my world, I would go after Aaron Rodgers. Looks like you got a good defense with the Commanders, but I got to tell you, you're going to hear this from me on every team that has something, that has a. You need your building elevated. Aaron Rodgers is your guy. I mean, why do you think Peyton Manning went to 2 Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos? I know what you're going to say. Great defense, Von Miller. No. He elevated the whole room. Tom Brady, 2 Super Bowls, won 1 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Because he elevates the whole freaking room. Matt Ryan does not elevate the room. Phillip Rivers does not elevate the building, not the room. The building, he does not. Sam Howell does not. Carson Wentz does not. Aaron Rodgers does. I said this to you yesterday. I'll say it to you again. I will not stop saying it. And that is a big deal. That is a huge deal in the NFL. So you're sitting there at Washington and you're going to say Sam Howell is your quarterback. You know what the first thing players say in the locker room? Really? All right. Hey, man, that's what Coach Rivera says, and that's what we're going to do. That's what they say. All right? They don't say, oh, man, we got him. Oh, man, Aaron Rodgers, no, man, we're going to go. Yeah, let's go. No. And that's what you need. You need we got him? Think about what happened when the Washington Commanders got Carson Wentz. Nothing. Questions. Carson Wentz, great dude, still goes to church here in Indianapolis. His charity still gives out food to the homeless here in Indy. It's great. But I got to tell you, Carson Wentz named quarterback. Huh? What? There's only a few guys, only a very few guys that frankly, when they enter your building, you're like, wow. Like I was at Colts camp when Matt Ryan was there. All right? I was there. I watched him. I watched him pretty close. I watched him very close. There wasn't nothing there. All right. I remember thinking, okay, he moves better than I thought he moves. But if Aaron Rodgers is there, guess what? All eyes on Aaron, baby. All eyes on Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not just talking about the media. I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about every player, every young guy. How does Rodgers go about it? Hey, man, I got to talk to Aaron today. I'm telling you. Pat McAfee tells a great story about Andrew Luck. He tells a story how he took a picture in the locker room, tweeted it out, didn't realize that Andrew Luck was in the background naked. All right? Didn't realize. When he realized it, oh my God, I got to apologize. I got to get to this guy because Andrew Luck had that kind of cachet in the locker room with the Colts. I'm not saying you would not do that for anybody. I'm not saying if he did a naked picture by mistake to a third string guard, he wouldn't apologize. But it was totally different when he tells the story. And the fact of the matter is, you get certain guys that have that cachet. And I got to tell you, Sam Howell ain't one. Sam Darnold ain't one. Zach Wilson ain't one. Ain't one. Ellinger ain't one. You name it, they ain't one. You name it. Jay Howell ain't one. They ain't one. Mahomes is one. Roethlisberger was one. Now, I would go through, say, Jimmy G, maybe one, maybe. Jimmy G's got a little bit of cachet that I think people recognize. I think Jimmy G's arrogance, I think his success, I think he's one. I'm not saying he's at the level of Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying Jimmy G comes into your locker room, you're like, wait a second, man, that's Jimmy G. That's Jimmy G. And I think that's a big deal. I do. I think that's a really big deal to have in your locker room. So anyway, I'm still on this Aaron Rodgers deal. You guys can get mad at me. I don't blame you. What the hell? But I think that's the most important thing you can get out of a quarterback. Somebody that lifts the entire deal up. All right? Somebody that says, hey, man, let's go. All right? Speaking of let's go, Don Lemon. You know Don Lemon. It's kind of interesting. We call my brother-in-law Donnie Lemon. Not because of that Don Lemon, but because of a different Don Lemon. Don Lemon, listen to this. For those of you that don't know, he's the off-time failed, but you can't fire because he's an African-American gay male, so he cannot be fired. But he keeps acting like an idiot on TV, and nobody watches him. So the other day, Don Lemon comes on and says basically a woman is out of let's listen to this.
There's no audio on that.
Oh, there's no audio. But right now he's saying, Nikki Haley came out and said, you know what, politicians over 75 need mental competency tests. And my man Lemon basically said women over 50 are incompetent. He prefaced it, all that stuff. But listen to this. This is where the story gets interesting. CNN took him off the air. They're going to bring him back tomorrow being Wednesday. So he wasn't on today, he wasn't on yesterday, and I'm sure ratings improved. Here's the deal. He is going to get, quote, formal training to help him do his job. He is going to get formal training to understand his misogynist ways. Now, you can't fire him, right? There's no chance you can fire him. But they want him to learn. grow and own their mistakes. There you go. All right. I think it's a wrong road to go down, he said. She says, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. When a woman is considered in her prime, it's her 20s and 30s and maybe her 40s. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm just saying what the facts are. Google it. Okay, Google it. Google it. Nikki Haley had a great response. She said, just to be clear, I'm not calling for competency tests for sexist middle-aged CNN anchors, only for people who make our laws. So Don Lemon has to go to training. Good. No. If Don Lemon were me, a 60-year-old white dude, I'd be heterosexual, I'd be gone so fast. My wife tells me all the time that I should identify as a woman and I'd have every job in the country. I can't quite pull the trigger on that one, but we all know the deal. When I watched Don Lemon, I thought to myself, why would anybody ever watch this guy? He's awful. But you can't fire him. You can't fire him. Impossible to fire. So we're going to send him to misogyny training. We're going to send him to training where he learns how to be a better person. Oh, okay. All right, there you go. Let's do that. Great. Apparently, we're not going to get Darren Hayes. That's all right. Would love to have him, but you know what? There you go. So there you go. So Don Lemon gets himself in a situation. All right. Tonight, we got college hoops. We got Indiana, my Hoosiers, going to Michigan State to take on Sparty. It's going to be an emotional night at Michigan State. It is. This is the first home game for the Spartan basketball team since the senseless shooting of 8 people, 3 of whom passed away, students. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, horrific, terrible. I can't even express. But Michigan, the university, did a great job honoring Michigan State. Tom Izzo was awesome in terms of his leadership on campus, but that doesn't bring people's lives back. That doesn't help. I mean, it helps. Let me back up. It helps. But it doesn't help with idiot prosecutors who pander to communities and don't prosecute people for gun violence or gun offenses and let criminals out on the street. That criminal then went on campus and shot 8 people and terrorized. That doesn't bring anybody back, but thank God that Michigan State has leadership like Tom Izzo. And tonight, you're going to see a very, very, very emotional night. And frankly, I'm an Indiana guy. I'm an Indiana fan. I played, I coached, I love IU. It's part of my soul. But in a weird way, I'm rooting for Michigan State tonight. Not going to lie. I'm sorry. I just am. I want Michigan State's community, even though the community and I have gone back and forth, I want them to heal. I want them to have joy. I want them to have something where they feel good. Because frankly, what happened on that campus, I get goosebumps from. It's so terrorizing. And as someone who put 2 kids through college, I can't imagine being a dad and hearing about this shooter and with my daughter or my son on campus. And Izzo, man, do I salute you. I salute Tom Izzo's leadership. I salute the University of Michigan, Juwan Howard and Ward Manuel, and everybody there for how they handled Michigan State and how they gave to Michigan State their rival. But rivalry did not matter. It was time for healing. It wasn't time for pandering. It wasn't time for crap. It was time for healing. And Michigan, man, oh man, you stood up, and I am a big fan of it. There you go. So how about that? All right. Let's get into a couple of other games tonight. Baylor at Kansas State. Kansas State is reeling, and Kansas State needs some wins, baby. Marquette and Creighton is interesting. Our good friend, Shaka Smart, absolutely killing it at Marquette. He's got Marquette 10th in the country. They take on number 19 Creighton. In Omaha, 23,000 people. It is going to be insane, ladies and gentlemen, because it is always insane there. It is. It's crazy when we get into Omaha for Creighton. So, what do we got to do? We got to sit, we got to watch. I'll give you a bet right now that I am making. Tough one for Miami. Really tough one from Miami. The deal is simple. Miami playing really well, really tough. The Wong kid is terrific. goes into Castle Coliseum, where whenever I watch Virginia Tech there, they are some bad, bad boys, man. They are some bad boys in there. They are tough to beat. They are tough to handle. And it does not go well for opponents, although I whooped up on Seth Greenberg on a last-second shot in Castle Coliseum with a team that included football players. So I do let Seth Greenberg know that very, very often. So there you go. All right. Now, but back, Iowa State at Texas. Texas, interesting, huh? Texas has bounced back. Texas not afraid. Texas is playing well for Rodney Terry. I'd give Rodney Terry the job. I would. I'd give Rodney Terry the job today, tomorrow, and the next day. I would. I'd just say to hell with it. Don't complicate it. Players like him. He can recruit. He's got experience. And let's be honest, everybody in college basketball runs the same thing. If I was not going to give Rodney Terry the job, I would hire Rick Pitino tomorrow. That's what I would do. Rick Pitino just won his 20th game again. 27th season, Rick Pitino has won 20 games. I want you to think about that for a second. 27 seasons. He's won 20 games or more. I mean, he won it at Providence. He's won it at Iona. He won it at Kentucky. He won it at Louisville. I mean, the dude can go to the Dakich household, take me and Lee and everyone else, and we're going to win 20 games. It's just what we're going to do. So if I were Texas, I would hire first Rick Pitino, Rodney Terry, or Rick Pitino. That's it. That's it. And then figure it out. And that's all. I want to win. I want to win. I'm not messing around. I'm not screwing around. And Rick Pitino is, according to my sources, ready to leave. He's ready to go. That's all I would do. I would call those two guys and I would say, that's it, people. That is all she wrote in my world. Period. Period. No more, no less. That's it. That's it. That's what I would do. So there you go. All right. When we come back, I got more headlines. We got Armando coming up. Stay right here. Tell your friends. We need more people. Let's go to the YouTube chat and see what we got pumping on the old YouTube chat. I think those people are lively. We'll be right back.
Another edition of the Trey Wallace podcast. Happy to be joined by SEC Network analyst, ESPN. He does it all. Peter Burns joins us this afternoon. Peter, what's up, buddy?
I'd be doing a lot better if I wasn't 30 minutes late from the podcast and if I wasn't having to do it from like the meeting room at my gym because of the chaotic schedule. But again, it's just it never, when you got a 5-year-old and 3-year-old, all you got to know is that chaos is going to ensue in your life, and it has to.
It's just another day for the Burns household, man. You're all good, buddy. And look, there's been chaos not in your life. There's been chaos around the SEC in the last week or so. We've got Texas, Oklahoma. Kind of always figured they were going to reach that agreement and be able to join the conference early in 2024. But you look at it now and everything that has to happen between this week, and stuff has been going on behind the scenes, but scheduling, getting these guys ready to go for 2024 to get here. That's why I think spring meetings are going to be so big. But your takeaway of Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference a year early right when the new ESPN deal starts up.
Yeah, Trey, that was the whole deal. Like, it felt like we could really get into kind of what I considered college football 3.0. Like, college football 1.0 is what we grew up with. Like, old school football, just the way it is. College 2.0 or college football 2.0, I feel, was like the pandemic and then the start of the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness. And I feel like college football 3.0 starts in 2024. Not only do you get Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC, but remember, we get USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. Then you've got the expanded college football playoffs. So it kind of felt like all of this meant like, hey, in 2024, we're going to have a brand new kind of sport, frankly, and especially postseason. So I'm fired up, and it means really a different level for the SEC.
You know, it's interesting. You hear all kind of different reports right now in the NFL. The Cowboys are interested in C.J. Stroud, apparently. They're talking about Jerry Jones wants to shock the world. We got an article up right now on OutKick.com. That may be true. That could be true. But I got to tell you, it just shows you the importance of what I've been talking about. I'm going to talk to Armando about this, and he may disagree. But let me ask you a question. Who truly elevates an NFL franchise? Like, let me ask you this. If Dak Prescott came to your team, let's say he came to the Colts. A lot of Colts fans watch the show. If Dak Prescott came to the Colts, would you view that as somebody elevating the franchise? Like, all right, Phillip Rivers had a nice year with the Colts, and then he wanted out. Okay, so he wants out. I get it. Now, next thing you know, Matt Ryan is washed. He's over the hill, but you knew that when you got him. You got a guy that was over the hill that was never Peyton Manning anyway. So my point is there's only one guy. There is legitimately only one guy, and frankly, that is Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know what to tell you. Now, who's your fanboy, and other people are saying this, all right? Other people are saying, well, he's better than what you have. That may be true. So Dak Prescott's better than what you have, so he's going to take you and maybe make you better. I think Dak Prescott would make the Colts better, and I think it'd be a great thing if they could do it. I'm not saying that they can. All right, but if Jerry Jones wants to trade and try to get C.J. Stroud, hey, look, wouldn't be a bad move. I'd take Dak Prescott if I were the Colts. He's better than what you got. But the truth of the matter is, does he elevate your whole franchise? I'll tell you who doesn't, Derek Carr. Derek Carr doesn't do that. Aaron Rodgers does it. Aaron Rodgers absolutely does it. Sometimes, think about this, sometimes you get a guy in a draft that you don't know the magnitude of. I'll bet you they knew Joe Burrow was as good as Joe Burrow was. I'll bet you they knew that Joe Burrow's personality would elevate their franchise. I'll bet you that the Kansas City Chiefs, when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, had no idea he could elevate them like he's elevated. Everybody's going to lie and say what they saw. Everybody's going to talk about it, no question about it. But I'll guarantee you they didn't. Think about it. Think about it for just a second. He comes out, Big 12, a lot of great passers in the Big 12. None of them have been there. So you tell me, you think they actually thought, hey, look, we're going to elevate this whole thing? I don't think so. I honestly don't. I don't think so at all. No. No. By the way, we've got breaking news. Clay Travis has hired Kurt Schilling to do a baseball show. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome for OutKick. We're not messing around here at OutKick. We ain't messing around. If they ever get this Twitter thing figured out, we'll be back to a couple 100,000 a show on this thing. Yeah. People on my YouTube chat are saying that Dak Prescott is worse than Carr? You're crazy. And I go to this, those of you that are denying, well, Rodgers is too old. No, he's not. Peyton Manning was supposedly too old. Tom Brady was supposedly too old. When you're that kind of level of greatness and you go to another team, guess what? That other team, ladies and gentlemen, that other team elevates. It just does. Just like Kurt Schilling is going to elevate all of us. We all got to sit up a little straighter because Uncle Kurt's around. We got the bloody sock. We got all the good stuff because Uncle Kurt is sitting right here. Yeah. Let's do it. Uncle Kurt, I welcome you. Yes, sir. All right. Did you know the NFL is college football is proposing rule changes so that they don't, ladies and gentlemen, they don't have to make so many plays. They speed the game up. Look, college football to me is perfect. I know it gets long. It's perfect. It's dreary in Indy. I love when it's on. As long as I'm not at the game, I think the length is perfect. But let's go. No consecutive timeouts. Now, that's going to be a rule. You cannot call a timeout, and then you cannot call another timeout. That doesn't happen a whole lot, so I'm not going to jump up and down, stand on my head, and crap snowballs about it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say great. I'm going to say wonderful. I am going to say let's go. But the truth of the matter is that one doesn't impact me. I'll give you one that kind of does. Listen to this. No first and third quarter untimed downs, which means if there's a penalty, they're going to say, and the clock ran out during the play, they're going to move it to the start of the second quarter or the fourth quarter. Now, in the second quarter, end of half or end of game, certainly untimed downs, that doesn't come into play that much anyway. People aren't going to be jumping up and down and caring about that. I'll tell you one that they are. All right, listen to this. I want to make sure. The clock will continue to run after the spot, after an incomplete. You throw an incomplete pass, clock stops. You spot the ball, clock starts running. Right now, the clock stops, right? It stops until the snap. Well, that one will have impact because you know how much passing is in college football. I mean, they pass. They throw 60 times a game, some of these guys. So, all right, I can get down with that. All right? The clock will continue to run after a first down under 2 minutes. Now, I don't understand that. I think under 2 minutes the clock ought to stop, but maybe I read that wrong. I have no idea. Whatever. But all I'm telling you is this. Run the clock if you want. I don't care. But you're screwing up a good thing. You're screwing up a good thing in college football. Look, some of those things, incomplete pass, you spot the ball, you start the clock. I ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about any of it, really. If you get first down, NFL, clock keeps running, right? Boom, boom, boom. College football, you spot the ball, and then the clock runs. Okay. You want to change that rule? That's fine. Doesn't really matter. But those are the four big rule changes coming. All right, I got something for you. Have you ever cleaned your house? Here's why I'm talking about this. So the one thing that I can do, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing that I can do, I want your input on this too, Twitter out there. I want your input on this. The one thing that I can do, ladies and gentlemen, I can clean a garage. It's beautiful outside these last 2 days. I surprised my wife on Sunday. We have a side of the garage that's just crap. It drives me crazy. That was my garage, not quite. It's not my garage. She was out. I'm like, you know what? It's a beautiful day. I'm taking all the stuff out. I'm sweeping it. She called. I go, look, I got a surprise for you. She comes home because she's been wanting to do it, and I can clean a garage. Here are the 5 worst cleaning spots in your house. It is Fat Tuesday. It is time for a little discussion. Number 5, the garage. A lot of you don't like the garage. I've talked about this for years, ladies and gentlemen. I have talked about this as long as I have been a dude. I like to get up in the morning. I do. Or do what I did yesterday and start cleaning the garage. I take everything out. I mean, everything comes out. Everything. And I start sweeping. Everything. Like if that were my garage, and I do it slowly. I turn some music on. It was 80s rock anthems the other day. Pour some sugar on me. All that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, I started cleaning. Sunday. Everything out on this side of the garage. Then we got this side of the garage, which is all of our mechanical stuff, garbage cans. Lee's got these shelves. There's saws. Lee's a cutter. I mean, all right. So I did this side, the right side, and it took us a couple hours. I'm sweeping, usually out hose, but it wasn't that warm. So I'm sweeping, I'm getting it done. I'm just getting it done like the man that I am, baby. That's right, like the man that I am. And those of you that know, and those of you that are smart enough, understand it's a great day. You're just walking around. If you want to have a beer, it's perfect because you're moving around. Sunday, right side, yesterday, left side. We got a fridge out there. I got behind the fridge. We got mouse traps out there. I cleaned out the mouse traps. I got new ones. And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, feels good. Feels real good. You open that garage door, you look into your garage, and you know it's not a pigsty. You know it's not just the freaking worst thing in the goddamn world. You know you are going to live to see another day of happiness because it doesn't look like that. And let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. Cleaning the garage, as Tanner Hall says here, is very, very, very satisfying. Number 4, and guys, I'm a little bit on this. I'm a little bit both ways. You ready? Dusting. I don't mind dusting, and I'm going to tell you why. I am what we call an instant gratification person. I want instant gratification. I want to see what I actually did, if that makes sense. Like, I don't need, okay, I did this, but we're not going to know about it until, 5 days from now. No, I like instant gratification. I like wiping something off and it's clean, but I hate dusting. Hate it. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Nobody in the world likes it. No. No. No, 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 no. Dusting. Dusting sucks. Even my wife, who is a clean freak, will be like, yeah, I don't want to dust. I'm like, I know. It's terrible. It's awful. It's the worst. Don't do it. Let's not do it. Never dust. Don't dust. No more dusting. No. Zip, zero, zilch. No dusting. But I do it. And actually, when I do it, I like it. I ain't mad about it. Damn dust is on every single millimeter in the world, even hospitals. Yes. Yes. That's right. Open that door, open that garage door, and show it off. You're damn right there, John. You're damn right. That's what we do. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what we do. All right. Number 3. You ready? I don't know what this means. He put win. What? Win. Windows. I don't do windows. And I'm going to tell you why I don't do windows. Windows could be number 1. Windows could be number 1, but here's the problem with windows. You do a window. You think you did it great. The sun hits it. And what do you see? What do you see? Streaks going everywhere. You think you've cleaned it like the windshield of a NASCAR. You think you've squeegeed it beyond an inch of your life. You think you've done great. Your chest is puffed up. Yeah. See those windows? And then the sun hits it. And then there's a streak. And then there's another one. You can tell where you stopped the squeegee just for a millisecond. Dan, the Indy Star is perfect for cleaning windows. I agree with you. There's nothing worse. We have these windows on this side of the house, and they're always dirty. So every once in a while, I get the squeegee, I get the Windex, I get it going, right? And I'm telling you, I think I did great. No. So I went through this list with Lee, and I said, Lee, tell me what's going on here. And she said number 2 is the underneath of the dishwasher, of the garbage disposal. Now, I don't put my hand in there often, but when I do, it's gross as hell. The underneath of the garbage disposal, my daughter, here's what made us think of it. My daughter broke a wine glass in our sink on Saturday. And she's like, Dad, I got to put my hand under there. It's so gross in here. I go, yeah. Take your other hand, put it in your pocket so you don't touch anything. You don't want to flip any switches. You don't want to cut your hand off because it ruins my Saturday. You know what I'm saying? That it would ruin my Saturday, and I don't need my Saturday ruined. But it's gross under there. It's disgusting. It's horrible. It's the worst under there. Don't do it. Don't. Only if you have to. But ladies and gentlemen, according to my wife, the number one deal, according to Lee Ross, is cleaning the toilet while living with me. Yep. My wife says, because I'm a sprayer, I'm old, things go that way. A friend of mine told me to sit when I pee, and I've started doing that, and it's made my wife happier. In fact, I told her it's so gross living with me that I would clean the toilet and the bathroom, the commodes myself, but it's the worst. All you got to do is take 1 second and think about, what are you actually cleaning? What are you cleaning? What are you doing? And once you realize that you are cleaning someone else's stuff in the toilet, you know what? It ain't great. Nah, it ain't great. It ain't even good. It's not even reasonable. It's horrible. Those are my top 5. The garage is glorious. The garage, men high-five each other. It is spectacular, let's be honest. Number 4, dusting. Yeah, it's horrible. Number 3, windows. Number 2, into the sink. And number 1, toilet living with me. I can't argue that. I cannot argue that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got David Hookstead coming up at 10:30. We got Armando coming up at 10. But I got to get to the YouTube chat, because there is a poll, ladies and gentlemen. There is a poll that we are taking. And in this poll, we are discussing cleaning. Now, we don't want to do 50 minutes on this. I've already gone too long. But worst home cleaning spot, I am going to say the attic. He put in attic. Right now, the garage is 15%. 47% say the bathroom, 24% say the kitchen, and only 15% say the attic. I will tell you why I say the attic. Because I'm scared. I go in dark places. I'm not scared of people. I'm not scared of skeletons. I'm not scared of monsters. I'm not scared of ghosts. But I'm scared of varmints. In fact, this happened yesterday. We live on a lake. We got a little dock out there. There is a varmint this big. We don't know whether he's a mink, a muskrat, a raccoon. I don't know. But he's sitting there sunning himself on our little dock. Lovely Lee Ross comes out. I'm cleaning the garage, and she brings out this. She has a pellet gun that literally looks like an AK or AR-15. I mean, it's heavy, it's long, it looks like it can kill a squadron of people, but it's a pellet gun. She's like, I'm going to shoot that thing. That thing needs to go. I go, look, you can do that. It's awesome, but we're in a neighborhood in Marion County where you're not allowed to do it. So if you do it, that's great, good for you, but we got neighbors, and if one of them gets upset, I don't want to get a knock on the door. She's like, I don't care, I'm killing it. I said, all right, Annie Oakley. When Annie Oakley gets her gun, I know it's time for me to shut up. So I went back to my cleaning. I actually waved at my neighbor. I wanted an alibi. True story. I wanted an alibi. Eric, what's up? I'm right here. I'm cleaning. Hey, that's right. I wanted an alibi. Lee comes back about 3 minutes later. You're right. You're right. I don't need the hassle. I'm like, duh. Look, you know my mantra, don't complicate winning. Don't complicate life, right? So don't complicate it. There's nothing to complicate. You go shoot the muskrat or whatever, and it's a fat, nasty looking thing too, and you want to shoot it. You're dying to shoot it. You want to shoot that thing. You want to shoot it, you want to watch it fall in, and then in our lake, you want a bunch of sharks to eat it in about 2 minutes. That's what you want. That's all I asked for. But I got to tell you, she made the right move. She did not kill the varmint, although I ain't mad if she would kill the varmint. I'm getting back to quarterbacks for just a second. I want you to look at me. Linda, Who's on the YouTube chat right now? There's a bunch of people. There's Otter Creek, Spike Rass, Ratchet, D. Wayne, Robert Brell, Ross Burnell, Colin Burrows, Brad Buffington, Barry Stevens, Irving, Who's Your Dad, Jim Eagle, Joel Stevens, John Datsman, Linda S.D., Johnny. I want you all to look at me right now. If you are a football fan, there is no way, zero chance, none, that the Chicago Bears should trade Justin Fields. There is zero chance they should trade Justin. I don't care if they think Patrick Mahomes and Bryce Young are the same person. They're not. One's much smaller. I don't care if their fans are like, well, we got the number one pick. We want Bryce Young. Good. Get Bryce Young. No. You do not trade Justin Fields. You build around Justin Fields. The modern NFL is not a small, skinny, 180-pound quarterback. I may be dead wrong when we revisit this next year. But I got to tell you, Kyler Murray, banged up. Every running quarterback banged up, including our guy, Andrew Luck, who was 6'4", 240 pounds. You do not do that. You keep Justin Fields and his 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 1,100 yards rushing, his 2,200 yards passing. 22 becomes 4,000. 1,100 yards becomes under 1,000. 17 touchdowns becomes 23. 11 interceptions becomes 8. But you got to build around him. The stupidity. I see this all the freaking time. I see this. I'm watching it right now on my television. They're talking about trading or not trading Justin Fields. It is only for television is this discussion. If the Bears have a brain in their head, and I think they do, I think this new group does. I think the new coach, Eberflus, he probably will listen to people. He probably knows what he doesn't know. And then Ryan Poles, the general manager, I think they have a brain. You do not trade Justin Fields. He is 6'3", 230 pounds. I stood pretty close to Bryce Young. He is not 6 foot. He is not 195 pounds. Stop it, stupid. He's not. So you do not make this trade. All right? If you do, please trade him to the Colts. I'll take him right now in the Colts. I want to build around that guy. I want to build around strong. I want to build around confident. I want to build around him. Last thing. Good for Myers Leonard. Myers Leonard, you may not know that name. Myers Leonard's a kid that I covered at Illinois. I really liked Myers Leonard. Myers Leonard was a nice kid. Myers Leonard's a naive kid. Myers Leonard had a horrible childhood. All right? Myers Leonard was fined $50,000 for an anti-Semitic slur that he said on a what do you call it, streaming video game. So the NBA, which that wouldn't care were he not a white guy, but you know what, he is, so they got to make a deal of it. So they suspend him basically indefinitely, make him do all this crap. Okay, fine. All right. He didn't know the meaning of the word that he said. You know what? I felt like I just destroyed my life and everything I'd worked for. People wanted to destroy Myers Leonard's life. Now, we've seen Tim Hardaway use rape analogies on TV, nothing. We've seen the stupidity of Jalen Rose. We've seen the stupidity of basically everybody. We got guys with DUIs, Harry Lyles or whatever his name is on ESPN. We've seen Sarah Spain try to sell her breasts and herself, but yet get a job. Everybody, all right, fine. But you know what they don't have in common? It's just a white guy. Easy pickings, Myers Leonard. Easy. So Myers Leonard, uber talented kid, but he averaged only 6 points a game in the league, 4 rebounds. Myers Leonard gets himself a contract. And there's another reason Myers Leonard is out of the league by the woke man David Stern, because his brother served in the military and Myers Leonard chose to stand while everybody was kneeling. Okay, fine. I'm glad to see Myers Leonard back. And of course, the NBA covering their ass. He has met with numerous leaders in the Jewish community, participated in community programs, educated himself, and used his platform to share his leader. Okay, great. All right, fine. Okay, great. Myers Leonard hit this in the middle of the cancel culture. So, look, I got no respect for the NBA in any of this stuff. I just don't. I know they're frauds with it. But good for them allowing Myers Leonard back. Again, I'm sure, well, doesn't Tim Hardaway, didn't he go in the Hall of Fame? He literally used a rape analogy in a broadcast, but that's all right. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has been more racial or more of a racist than Jalen Rose on television, but that's all right. But Myers Leonard said a word, he didn't know what it meant, in a video game while he was playing, and of course he's a pariah, has to lose his job. That's crap. It's total crap. So I'm glad to see Myers Leonard back. I am. And if you really want to know, see that right there? It's probably why Myers Leonard lost his job more so than an anti-Semitic slur in a freaking video game, which he apologized profusely for. It's amazing who we allow to just apologize and move on, and it's amazing who we don't, and we all understand it. All right. Armando, today's the first day NFL teams can use franchise tags. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I got to ask a question. Do you franchise tag Lamar Jackson? There's a couple different ways you do it. The franchise tag is interesting. Basically, they take the top 5 paid players at your position and average them, and that's what they pay. It's a pretty good deal. A lot of people say Lamar Jackson's not going to play. I'm going to see what our friend Armando says. Today's the day that you can franchise tag folks. See what happens. We'll be right back.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader.
I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life.
ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
So the higher that number can be, the better you are with the committee. It's really that simple.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
He's got incredible taste in which media figures he listens to.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
Why are we going through Melania's goods? Don't make Brittany Griner out to be some type freedom fighter. Shouldn't there be a little bit of common sense? Let's roll them, big boy. What do you got?
They want to find someone to be the face of domestic terrorism, and they want it to be a right-wing Trump supporter. Don't let them entrap you into doing something dumb. But they were hyper-rational. They looked at the data, and they said it makes no sense for me to submit to this COVID shot mandate.
Get the shot or you can't go to your brother's wedding. Get the shot or you can't go to your daughter's graduation. Get the shot or else.
NFL, today is the day. Franchise tags can get thrown around. Lamar Jackson is the main guy. I got two questions for you. I think I know the answer to the first question. The second question, I don't think anybody knows the answer. First question, will the Ravens franchise tag Lamar Jackson? Second question, I'm listening to a lot of guys on television, ex-NFL players, saying he should not accept it, he should not play under the franchise tag. How do you see this playing out, Armando?
So let's take the second part of that first if we can, because honestly, he should not accept it part. Look, Dan, you accept it ultimately or you don't play. If the two sides are going to go to their corners and refuse to deal with one another, the side that holds the ability to get on a field typically wins. And I guess Lamar Jackson could ultimately say, no, I am not signing this under any circumstances. He better be ready not to play and not to collect $34 million guaranteed. That's rough. I don't think that's what Lamar Jackson is likely to do. I know he's not a happy camper. That's clear. And he shouldn't be, because he wants to get paid and he deserves to get paid. But here's the truth of the matter with Lamar Jackson. He's injury prone now. No one wants to say it, but prone. And the last two seasons, the Baltimore Ravens have seen their seasons crash because Lamar Jackson couldn't be on the field for them in late November and December, and definitely not January. So when you have that situation as a team, and a guy wants a fully guaranteed contract, which is what Lamar Jackson wants, at a very high value, which is what Lamar Jackson wants, that's hard to do given the history. You're betting and banking that what has happened the last two seasons will not continue to happen. And typically, guys, as they get older, don't get more healthy. They get less healthy. And dual threat quarterbacks that run around a lot, by definition, they expose themselves a little bit. And so, again, with the health issue.
What about Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, that's an intriguing situation, Dan. And I wrote about that today at OutKick.com. Can we agree that Daniel Jones is good, but not great? Can we agree on that?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I would say yes.
So good, but not great. Let's see. Patrick Mahomes is great, right? That guy's great. He's making $45 million a year. Daniel Jones wants to be in the $40 million club. Per year. Daniel Jones threw 15 touchdown passes last year, and I know that he unveiled a new part of his game last year with the running game and being able to make hay that way with his legs. And I know that he's 25 years old and he's got, he hasn't reached his ceiling. But let's call it the way it is. Daniel Jones is not elite, and the Giants don't necessarily want to pay him like he's elite. So they have a little bit of an issue going on early on. Daniel Jones has changed agents, and so now the new agents will come in with their suitcases and their analytics and tell the Giants opposite of what everybody knows and has seen, which is that Daniel Jones is elite, when he's not. The thing about it is, if the Giants franchise tag Daniel Jones, it's going to cost them $34 million. And so that's the floor of what Daniel Jones is going to make in 2023, $34 million.
here's the deal, Armando. Here's how I look at it. All right, maybe he's getting better. He's 25. But if you don't franchise tag him, who you getting?
Yeah, they don't have an option, but their option is, once again, play for us or you're not playing. And you're not playing while turning up your nose at $34 million guaranteed. That's hard to do if you're an NFL player. They get checks that is 1/18 of their salary. And those checks on $34 million, I haven't done the calculation, but it's over, it's close to $2 million every check. It's hard to turn away that kind of check, I would imagine. No one's ever tried to give me that kind of check. I imagine most, like 98, 99% of the people in the world have never seen that kind of check. And certainly Daniel Jones has never seen that kind of check. It's hard to just say no. One more thing, and let me just throw this out there. We have an Aaron Rodgers decision that is looming, whether he wants to continue playing or not. And once he makes that decision, he will make it knowing full well that the Green Bay Packers may wish to trade him. So once he says I'll play, it's knowing that you might be playing somewhere else. And everybody's linking Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. If this Daniel Jones decision and situation goes sideways, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants are involved as well.
That's interesting because Aaron Rodgers, and maybe Derek Carr, maybe they give teams a little bit of leverage, don't they, against Daniel Jones? Maybe not against Lamar Jackson, but against Daniel Jones. Like, hey, look, we're really going to go after him if you don't want. I don't know. Does that make sense or no?
Well, so no one else is saying this about the Giants and Aaron Rodgers, because everyone else is buying the whole Jets narrative, and they're going to lock in on Aaron Rodgers, and that's the way it's going to go. The Giants are the more elderly franchise in New York, the more conservative franchise in New York. But I have to tell you, it would be a consideration for them. As far as Baltimore, they're locked in with Lamar Jackson pretty much. I don't see, they're not going to trade Lamar Jackson. What are they going to do? Trade Lamar Jackson to Chicago for the first overall pick? You think Chicago would do that? They can, I don't think that's what would happen. And that's the value that they would have to, get back in order to trade Lamar Jackson. So that's, a far-flung and in the weeds kind of opinion.
If this, I'm being facetious here, okay? All right. Hey, look, Lamar Jackson, we got Brett Hundley. He's a Pro Bowler.
That is Lamar Jackson's reaction to that.
Right.
If anyone ever says that to him, that's his. Right. Man, get serious. Come on now. Are you going to waste my day today, or are we going to be serious and talk contract? That would be his answer.
Right. No, I know that, but it's part of the joke is that Brett Hundley made the Pro Bowl, right? I mean, come on. I mean, but look, I do think, all right, we talked quarterback. What is the value of Saquon Barkley to New York?
Well, that depends on who you're talking to. I talked to some people yesterday who called Saquon Barkley one of the best players in the NFL. obviously the Giants have set the quarterback position, and rightfully so, as their priority ahead of the running back position, because you can find a running back much more easy than you can find a quarterback. But let's be clear about this. Saquon Barkley is a way better running back than Daniel Jones is a quarterback. That is not at the issue here. The issue is the Giants have the quarterback to deal with, and so Saquon Barkley becomes priority number 2. What would be perfect for the Giants is if they are able to sign one to a contract and maybe franchise the other one. And if they franchise Saquon Barkley, the franchise tag number for a running back is $10.1 million approximately, slightly less than that. And for a great running back, and Saquon Barkley qualifies, he was the 4th leading rusher in the NFL last year and is explosive and started to show his old explosion again. That's a good price. I mean, the top running backs are making $14, $13, $12 million per year. And that's, the top 8. So for Saquon Barkley and the Giants, from the Giants standpoint, that's a good number.
I agree. I agree. Like, to me, again, I go back to something very simple, but you got a guy that's productive. You got a guy that's a weapon. You got a guy that's emerging. $10 million for a weapon like that doesn't seem to be out of the question to me. That seems to be a good deal for the Giants.
Let me just clarify for you, Dan, so that everybody knows what we're also talking about. The franchise tag is not something that's just applied willy-nilly, because when you apply it,
right,
all of, in other words, if the New York Giants, who have about $44 million estimated in cap space when the league year opens in mid-March, if they apply the franchise tag to Daniel Jones, and that we already discussed was $34.4 million, all of it comes off your salary cap space. So suddenly the team that had $44 million in cap space has like $10 million in cap space to operate all of the offseason and all of the regular season. That's not good. Using 3/4 of your cap space on one player is rough and hard, and it basically handicaps the team and means a team that needs, receiver help, cornerback help, I would say, tight end help, isn't going to be shopping for any of those players because they just don't have the cap space.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers ends up anywhere other than Green Bay?
Okay, so that's the second question. The first question is Aaron Rodgers going to play? If you give me the answer to the first, I'll give you the answer to the second.
Yes, he's playing.
Then yes, he'll end up somewhere other than Green Bay. Because
no kidding.
I think the Green Bay Packers see themselves in a situation where they've got a quarterback who isn't participating in off-season conditioning, isn't participating in the off-season program, isn't participating in anything other than the mandatory veteran mini camp in June or late May, and then starts the regular season, and throughout the regular season complains about chemistry with his wide receivers. Hey, man, where were you when that chemistry was to be won and attained? Because you were nowhere near the campus and the facility when those guys were here for the offseason, and you could have been throwing the ball around with them and working with them so that come September, when the season starts, that chemistry is there. They're known to you, right, and you're known to them. And this is a year-to-year thing that has been going on now for, I would say, 3 years. And it was okay when the Packers had a veteran group of receivers like Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard and Patrick Cobbs and so forth. But when they have younger receivers, you need to work with them and grow together. And Aaron Rodgers, his growth is about, between the ears and going to dark spaces and spending his off time, I don't know what he does, meditating or whatever. And you have the young guys who are working to try to become better players and need an actual quarterback. Jordan Love is going to be there. And I'm not saying Jordan Love is good, but he's present. And let's face it, that's job one of the job. You got to show up. So I think that the Packers are just about ready to get what they can for Aaron Rodgers, which would be, by the way, a first-round pick, and move on with Jordan Love.
I eventually you get tired. Like if they're going to Super Bowls, to your point, or NFC Championship games, and you got great. But hey, look, 18 seasons, you're set in your ways. We need something different. I'm with you on it. Look, there was a report that Green Bay by Bob McMahon, who covered him for a long time. I don't know Bob McMahon. I don't know what his sources are. But it made sense to me that, look, we're just kind of tired of the guy. And I don't blame him, right? I know 18 years, you're not going to show up, then you're going to complain. Enough, right? Enough.
There's an old adage, and I learned it years and years and years ago. And that is, when a player is great, he has a reservoir of goodwill in which he can be a kind of a pain in the neck, and you just grin and bear it as an organization. But when the player is something less than great and the horizon is not that far off to where he's not going to be even good, his reservoir of goodwill shrinks. And as soon as that player is just good or middling, he's out, because you weigh great versus pain in the neck. And if pain in the neck is anywhere close, pain in the neck goes. And I think that's where the Green Bay Packers might be with Aaron Rodgers.
I'm with you on
and I'm
it.
not
Like,
saying,
it's not
by
like
the
he's
way,
going to.
Dan, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is tough to deal with as far as a locker room bad guy or a bad influence or anything like that. I'm just saying he's exhausting. He really is. He's exhausting. And every year it's like, am I going to play? I have a decision to make. It's going to take 3 weeks. And oh, by the way, these young guys, they get on my nerves. I don't like them. And the head coach, I didn't like this play call. I didn't like that play call. That play call was okay. I didn't like this other play call. And, it's exhausting after a while.
That's exactly right. At some point, you get to a point where you're like, all right, this isn't getting us up here. And this is wearing my ass out, and it's not helping the whole. And that's the biggest part of it. I mean, I tell you this. Peyton Manning, for as long as he was here, was always the guy that was working out wide receivers, always the guy in the field. Never, ever a contract, never exhausting, never nothing. And Tom Brady, if you think about it, we've never heard about Tom Brady's contract until he left and who was going to. It's kind of amazing. Rodgers has become, he's almost like he's put himself above the NFL and above his operation, I guess. Does that make sense?
No, I get what you're saying. And, you could argue that, hey, I'm Aaron freaking Rodgers, and you're going to have to deal with me because I'm Aaron freaking Rodgers, so deal with me.
Yeah.
And that's fine for a while. but Aaron freaking Rodgers didn't throw 35, 38 touchdown passes last year. So, it was more like, what was it, 25? I don't have the stats in front of me. He was okay. He was good. He wasn't great. And so that gets balanced, and then rightfully so.
No, I agree. All right, let me ask you before I let you go, where are you at with all of this with Derek Carr?
Yeah, so Derek Carr is going on the Derek Carr free agency tour. And God bless him, man. Do what you need to do. And, it includes the Jets. It has included the Saints. My guess is there will be a couple of more teams that it will include. To me, he makes perfect sense in Carolina, but, what do I know? I think Frank Reich would take Derek Carr to the next level. And I don't know if you're a big Frank Reich guy or not, but I know this: he can coach quarterbacks. And look, he's a good to above good quarterback. I'm not going to tell you that he's elite. I'm not going to tell you that he's outstanding, although there are games in which he can be outstanding. But you give that guy a good defense, which the Raiders have not given him for 9 years, and you give that guy some support from coaching staff and other staff, which he hasn't always gotten from the Raiders in the last 9 years, he's going to be fine. He's going to be upper percentile, 10. He's going to be in the top 15 passers in the NFL. And you can win. You can go to the playoffs with a top 15 passer and a good defense and good coaching.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you, Armando. I'm not arguing with that. I think that's accurate. I think that's very accurate. Thanks, Armando.
All right, Dan. Be well.
All right. That's Armando Segura. Look, if Derek Carr came to the Colts, it would be an upgrade. It would be an upgrade. It would be an absolute upgrade that I would be down for. But he does not elevate like what happens with an Aaron Rodgers. He just doesn't. Now, if I were the Giants, I would franchise tag Daniel Jones. In fact, if I were the Giants, I would try to get Daniel Jones under a contract. I think Daniel Jones is emerging. I think Daniel Jones is smart. I swear to God, when I watch Daniel Jones, and again, we can all fall in love with talent, but when I watch Daniel Jones, I watch a guy that's like, wow, you know what? This dude has everything you need to be an NFL quarterback. This dude has everything you need to get it done for your team. Now, maybe it's maturity. Maybe he played at Duke. Maybe he needs to learn. Maybe he needs to grow up. I'm not there. But I know this. When I watched Matt Ryan, I thought this year he is not good enough to get it done. When I watched Sam Ehlinger, he is not good enough to get it done. When I watched Sam Darnold, he is not good enough to get it done. When I watched Zach Wilson, Mitchell Trubisky, I mean, I can go on and on and on. I'm not sure Trey Lance is. I don't know. He keeps getting hurt. Jimmy G has gotten him to a Super Bowl. When I see Kyler Murray, I think that he is. When I saw Davis Mills, I think that he isn't. When I see Trevor Lawrence, I'm not sure what I'm seeing. I think I'm seeing greatness, but I'm not 100% sure. When I saw Russell Wilson prior to this year, I thought so. When I see Russell Wilson now, I'm like, I don't know. When I see Justin Herbert, I see immense talent, but I'm not sure that he is a whole lot better than Daniel Jones. I'm just not sure. I'm not. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I know Justin Herbert is considered great. I know he's got the commercials. I know, but I am not as big a Justin Herbert fan as others are, and I'm sure I'm wrong. I am 100% sure that I am wrong. All right? I'm no doubt about it. But I tell you this, if I were the Giants, I would have to say to myself, all right, one of the two, I'm taking the quarterback, period. I mean, I am taking the quarterback today, tomorrow, and the next day, as opposed to a running back. That's just me, and it's not close. Because when I see Daniel Jones, I say to you, who is going to replace him? Are you that much in love with Will Levis? Are you that much in love with C.J. Stroud? Are you that sure, ladies and gentlemen, that a little guy like freaking Bryce Young can survive in this league? Maybe he is the second coming of Pat Mahomes. It's not my job to know that. It's their job to know that. But if I'm the Giants, man, I am not messing around with Daniel Jones. I'm sorry, I'm not. I mean, others can. People can get mad. But I got to tell you, I ain't messing with him. Daniel Jones is damn good. Daniel Jones is athletic. Daniel Jones is big, strong, throws it, runs it. You tell me what he doesn't do. Now, maybe he hasn't been great. Maybe he's been over-scrutinized. I don't know. But I'll take him over most of these guys because he seems to me to be the kind of quarterback, if he's got the mentality for it as he grows up and older, he seems to me to be the kind of quarterback that win you a championship. Hey, I ain't lying to you. I'd love to have Daniel Jones in Indy. If we had Daniel Jones in Indy, I'm telling you right now, it'd be a damn party. It would be. Danny Dimes, baby. I don't even know what that means, but I love me some Danny Dimes. Colin, you think that's a bad take? Nah, I don't know. Joe Burrow is great. I'm looking here. A lot of you don't like Russell Wilson anymore. I'm going to do this, all right? I'm going to, when the season starts, or I'm going to go to my DraftKings, and I'm going to put Russell Wilson as my comeback player of the year. I am. I'm going to put him. I agree with A-Money Wilson. Will Levis is the next flop like Trubisky. I agree with that. I totally agree. A-Money Wilson. Rodgers wants to leave the Packers, and he is using the media to get his way. Daniel Owens says, oh, hell no, we don't want Daniel Jones. Daniel Owens, remember this day, pal. Remember this day, Daniel Owens, because I'm telling you, a year from now, you're going to be like, all right, Dakich, you were right. You were right. You were right. I was wrong. You were right. Connie, I'm with you. I don't know what's going on, man. I'm sneezing. I'm wheezing. I can't beat this thing. I think it's long COVID. I think long COVID has got me. Either that or I'm allergic to my dog, which if I am allergic to my dog, guess what? There's going to be a damn dog for sale. And he's going to be for sale immediately. David Hookstead is going to join us. We're going to talk about a number of things, but mostly we're going to talk about Neon Deion Sanders. Let's talk about the NCAA. And we always have to talk about the great conversations that my man David Hookstead has with our military vets that you can see and watch right here on OutKick.com. I do need a tissue. I need a tissue. I need a diaper. I need it all, baby. We'll be right back.
So I got to ask, what's it like to get punched in the face?
Obviously I try not to get punched in the face as much as possible. I do not like to get punched in the face. I feel like, which is probably not a good thing, but over time you kind of get used to it. You know what I mean? I don't even blink my eyes when I get punched in the face. I remember when I used to get punched, get rocked, you get this adrenaline feeling like, oh my God, what happened? I don't really get that too much. It's either I'm getting knocked out or I'm just okay. So it's not the best feeling, but I try to avoid it. You know, I try to be smarter because concussions, you know, you're hearing all these things about concussions this day and age, and I try to only do my hard sparring only when I need to for my fights. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to just, let's go spar. It's fun. I love it. You know what I mean? Not anymore. I try to be smart about what I do.
Well, when it comes to the preparing for a fight, now what's your record as a pro since you've gone pro?
I am 5-1.
5-1. And
yep.
That's wildly impressive. So if you were an NFL team with that winning record, you'd be amazing, right?
Be all right?
Yeah. What's it look like when you prepare for a fight, though? What's that camp look like? What do you got to do to get yourself physically ready?
So for me, I'm always, no matter, I don't really like the way we do fight camps. That's the thing. We always call it fight camps and stuff like that. But I'm always training all the time. For the sheer fact, because it's my job and I teach martial arts now, I own my own spa and I teach it. But on the other side of it is as I love it. So I'm always I'm obsessed really, is what it comes down to. Is I am steps to trying to make myself better and better and better. So in fight camp, it's not really too much about me training martial arts as much as about me getting my diet and nutrition in order, getting my sleep right. So I'm always at peak performance and getting, it's basically diet, nutrition, and strength and conditioning, and just like a little extra stuff to tweak me for the fight camps. But I'm not training any less or more. Probably putting the same amount of hours in the gym. If anything, I'm taking my rest a little bit more seriously, so I can perform better when I need to perform.
It's what I do. It's all I do, David. All I do all day is sneeze and honk and fart. That's all I do. I'm to my wife. My wife's like, this is not the man I married. I go, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Dan. I hope you feel better. I'm sorry to hear the dog might be giving you an allergic reaction.
If that's true, that dog is gone. That dog is going to be... I don't know. I'm not going to say it because I don't want anybody mad at me. But if it's me or the dog, I pay the bills around here, damn it. All right. Is Deion Sanders a breath of fresh air, a truth teller, or is Deion Sanders a snake oil salesman?
Well, you definitely can't argue he's a snake oil salesman. He just did go 27-6 at Jackson State before he went to Colorado. I find him to be very refreshing. I mean, look, he came in. They won one game last year. They're a joke of a program. They're a cellar dweller. They're terrible. And he came in and bluntly said to ESPN, what flew in the previous regime, those expectations are no longer going to be tolerated. You have to set that message. It is always easier in any line of work to come in with a hard fist and ease up later once you've set the tone than come in easy and when no one respects you, then try to set the tone. That never works, Dan. And you as a former coach obviously know that.
Yeah, no, I love him. I think he's great. I just got people saying, well, he's selling too hard. The old Shakespearean, he doth protest too much. His son came out. His son's interesting, man, the quarterback. He came out and said, look, we're just telling you the truth, and people don't want to hear the truth, and I don't think he's wrong.
Oh, he's definitely not wrong. College football is full of snake oil salesmen. Every recruiter behind every door has something to sell you that's probably not true, whether it's playing time, NIL, any of that stuff. Deion Sanders is telling it like it is. Colorado's not that good. They got to get better players. He's bringing his players with him, which is what he told them. He said, hey, hit the transfer portal if you're here currently because you ain't seeing the field with the guys I'm bringing. I respect the honesty. Now, some people might say that's too harsh. That's too blunt. We're talking about teenagers. You got to grow up at some point, Dan. Life isn't fair, and the sooner you learn that, the better off you're going to be.
Honest to God, David, I use this analogy all the time. You're a baby. This is a baby. Doctor smacks you on the backside. He doesn't say life is going to be fair. He doesn't say life isn't going to be full of disappointments. He makes you cry. So your first reaction is to deal with pain and crying, right?
Right. Unfortunately, we've coddled children too much. I don't want to sound like an old man yelling at the clouds, but teenagers now expect to be told how awesome they are, how great they are at everything. Someone has to humble these young men and reshape them, and that's how you build them back up. Deion Sanders is doing that. I like it. I think a lot of parents like it as well.
What do you think? What do you think are the expectations? I hate to say this in this way, but it gets easier for him with UCLA and USC leaving the conference. So as you move forward here, what are expectations for Colorado and Deion Sanders?
Well, let's just talk 2023, okay? Because USC and UCLA are obviously still there. If they win 7 games, if they go 1-11 to 7-6, that will be an incredible turnaround. He can feel happy about that. They go 500, you can feel happy about that. Now, they just did pull in their greatest recruiting class in modern history. Takes 2 to 3 years for those guys to really kind of get to a college level where they can play. I think when you look at 2025, 2026, 9 wins, 10 wins. That's where he wants to be. He claims they're going to win a national title within a few years. I don't buy that. But they can be 9-3, 10-2 within 4 years. And anyone who says that's not incredible is just lying to themselves.
You know, it's a little different, and this is just my coach's brain as you were talking right there. You know, it's a little different for Nick Saban. I'm going to do a commercial with the Jackson State coach who makes me look good, right? I'm with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders gives you cred. All of a sudden now, Deion Sanders getting an Alabama linebacker to come over to him. All of a sudden now, a little bit of a threat here. I think Deion Sanders and his personality, I think he's a legitimate threat in recruiting against the best of the best. Maybe not this year, although he's done pretty well, but I think he's got a chance because he's got a great place to recruit to as well.
Right, and let's remember this. Deion Sanders in these households in Florida, in that Deep South area, is a hero. To many of these athletes' fathers, they grew up watching him, they grew up idolizing him. And when he comes in and he tells these guys, I can get you to the NFL. I was an NFL star. I know what it takes. He's like a god among men down there. So anyone who thinks he can't compete with Nick Saban or George or any of those places is kidding themselves. And he's also being honest with what he's looking for. It goes back to the honesty thing. He said, I want quarterbacks from a 2-parent home. I want offensive linemen who have strong father figures that they respect and listen to. He's not attempting to spin anything. He's just giving them to a straight. Parents like that.
You know, this is true. I mean, every coach will tell you. They want to recruit 2-parent homes, and they want to recruit kids from winning programs. You know, now that doesn't mean every kid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they neglect, you know, but I am telling you, if you sat there and you said to a coach, give me a blueprint, ideally, it's always the same thing, man. I would like a strong father in there, not an overbearing guy, not a guy that's going to tell me what to do. And I want a kid that's used to winning, that's used to working, because you know this, some of these high school programs are like college programs. I mean, they're year-round. The facilities are unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt. And when you look at these programs, specifically, again, in Texas, Georgia, Alabama, those look like Division III college campuses, right? You go there, there's no different than, you know, UW-Whitewater in Wisconsin. Deion knows what he wants. He's being straightforward with what he wants. And I think, again, that's very refreshing. He's not giving some pitch about, well, we want guys who work hard and we want guys who are going to buy in. That's not what he's saying. He's like, hey, I need a quarterback. He needs a 3.5 GPA. I need him to have great role models because he needs to be a leader. And as much as people might not want to hear it, when you grow up with good leadership, you're more likely to be a good leader. That's just the way the world works. So I know he got some criticism for those comments, but logically, they're airtight. They're bulletproof.
That's exactly right. I mean, and we're, you know, I don't know. We don't like saying that, but I don't care. That's true. What is the NCAA doing in court with amateurism? Where this seems like a never-ending saga.
Well, there's a court case going on right now that I believe is at the federal appeals level of whether or not college athletes are going to be employees. And what I can tell you, while a decision has not been made, it is not going well for the NCAA at all. One of the big things the judges have argued is how can you have so much control over their schedule, their diet, who they're allowed to spend time with? You can put all these restrictions on them, but then you can claim they're not an employee. The NCAA has tried to counter and say, oh, you could ruin non-revenue sports with this decision. And here's what I want to say, Dan, and let me qualify. My grandmother was a college coach. I have family members, women that were college swimmers, including my own mother. I got nothing against college female athletes or non-revenue generating sports, but there's basic realities we all have to face. Men's football and men's basketball are ATM machines. They pay for everything else. And this idea that we have to jump through these hoops and play this game, that the women's soccer team should be treated like the football team at Alabama, is ridiculous. And the courts are now nearing a point where they're going to say that you don't have to view them that way anymore. That is where this is headed. That's going to be the ultimate outcome.
You know, my wife coached for a long time, softball. My wife was a player. My wife was an All-American. My wife is a legend in the softball world, and she'll be the first one to tell you exactly what you just said, which is, look, hey, I want the best facility. I want the best for my girls. I want the best food. I want the best workout. I want the best coaches. But I know I'm not the football program. I know when she was at Syracuse, I'm not putting 30,000 people in the dome against Duke for a basketball game and all the concessions that comes with it. People know, like, I get it. You know, little white guy on Twitter gonna get mad about what you just said or what I'm saying. But people that are actually there, David, that you mentioned it, you know, people that are coaches, they absolutely know. 100% they know.
Right. And thanks to the current climate we live in with this woke outrage, where if you point out basic facts, whether it be biology, finance, or anything else, they try to crush you. It is this simple. Nobody is spending $5,000 to watch the crew team or the men's soccer team play in a conference title game. You look up the ticket prices for the Big Ten championship, SEC championship, they're car payment levels. Okay. So we have to accept that. There's basic realities that men's basketball and football drive the narrative, football especially drive the decisions, and the courts are going to determine that this nonsense where we can't do that, it's over. It's done, Dan. It's going to be killed off.
You know, it is interesting. Like, I get that softball on television is the fastest growing sport. I get that. And how that equates to money for athletic departments, I personally hope that money gets earmarked for softball and, if need be, baseball. I'm cool with all of that. But don't tell me that football mostly, like at Bowling Green, it's different, you know, but at Alabama or at Indiana, I don't care how popular Indiana basketball is. You got 60,000 seats in the football stadium. Right. You got 17,200 in the basketball arena. That's it. I told the AD at Bowling Green when I went there, I'm totally on board with football. You got 25,000 seats. I got 5. I get it. Let's go. I'll help. People get it that are inside.
Absolutely. And those are the people we should be listening to. Unfortunately, and I'm sure people try to come clip this little exchange and take it out of context, these colleges allow social media to drive the narrative. Oh, we can't treat anyone less than completely equal. Otherwise, we'll be called bigots, sexist, whatever it is. It is a numbers game, Dan. It's like any other business, which is what the courts are going to determine. We're all equal, but some of us are more equal than others. And the people that pay the bills at the end of the day ultimately are going to have to be treated differently. That's just the way it is. That's the way life works.
Yeah, I was watching the other day. It was Saturday night. I was having dinner with some, and it was Friday night, I guess. And we were having dinner, and it was a nice restaurant, but we ate in a bar. I like eating in bars. I like having a TV. I like distractions because of all the ADD. But I looked, and all of a sudden, it was LSU gymnastics, and Olivia Dunn wasn't playing. She wasn't participating. Apparently, she's hurt. But I got to tell you, it was on ESPN. It was a great crowd. It was awesome. I love the fact that women's sports are growing. And if that can become, 1 year, 2 year, 10 years, monetized, beautiful. But we can only go by what we see right now. I would argue, and I never argued this before, I would argue, hell yeah, make basketball, make football, make them employees. I don't know if that's good for students or not. With employees, you can get fired. But I think we're going to see the day where there's going to be written business contracts between players and schools. I do believe that.
Well, I think the courts are going to make that decision. And let me agree with what you just said. I'm a capitalist at heart. I love money. So I want women to get paid every penny they're worth. I want the men's soccer team, if they can make money, to make every penny they're worth. But today, the decisions we're making right now, we know the football team's making money. We know that. So that's the reality we got to go off. I hope the LSU women's gymnastics team gets rich as all could be. I hope they make more money than they know what to do with. I really do. But we live in today. We don't live in tomorrow. And so the decisions have to be based on reality of what we know where our feet are currently standing. But I agree with you. I hope they make tons of money.
It's true. It's like, hey, look, I can't base this on where you think it's going. Let me ask you, and we didn't prep for this, so I don't even know if you know this. I'm sure you do because you're a genius and you're in on everything. I think the Pac-12 is an interesting league. You're talking about losing USC and UCLA, and you don't really have a TV deal. I don't know where they go here. I assume something will get done, but man, oh man, bad spot, I think, right now for the Pac-12 relative to TV and interest.
Well, they're not in a bad spot, Dan. They're in a crisis mode at this moment. The commissioner, George Klykov, I believe is his name, he was told he has until mid-April to get this figured out, or essentially he's going to be gone. Here's the problem. The Pac-12's two biggest assets are USC and UCLA. They're gone. Oregon and Washington believe at some point down the road, they're also going to get Big Ten invites. They have no incentive to sign TV contracts, grant a right contracts with the Pac-12. So what TV company is going to offer them a big deal? You don't even know who's going to be in the conference in 2 to 3 years. And the biggest problem, and I can't stress this enough, the Big 12 went first. They got a TV deal that's $31.7 million per member per year. The Pac-12 will never get one more penny than that. They're demanding $100 million extra annually, according to the reports. The numbers don't add up. They don't know who's going to be in the conference. They're going to try to add SMU and San Diego State. That's nice. That's cute. Nobody's paying you $500 million for San Diego State football games. I got bad news for the Pac-12 if they think that's what's going to happen. They are in. ESPN said the next couple weeks will determine whether or not the conference collapses or stays together. That is an accurate assessment, in my opinion.
I agree. I look, if I am Oregon and I am Washington, I'm not going to say I'm begging the Big Ten, but I'm begging the Big Ten to go in. Or if I'm Arizona State, hey, look, you need travel partners, blah, 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 blah. I'm begging. I got to get into something with you because this is a national crisis. I'm totally changing the direction, David, but you tweeted it out. Government doesn't care about East Palestine, Ohio, because it's full of poor white people who have no influence. The average adult makes $28,000 a year. That's a weekend Vegas trip for some media members. I would add government officials. If it were Beverly Hills or the Hamptons, it'd already been fixed. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's super sad. I mean, look, whether they're poor black people, poor white people, poor Hispanic people, everyone wants to claim there's a race divide in this country. It's not a race divide. It's a class divide. The government doesn't give a damn about people who are poor. Why? They can't afford lawyers. The news doesn't cover them right, other than Fox News and OutKick pretty much. We're the only ones shining a light on the truth. So why would the government care about them? There's no recourse for these people. If it happened to people in the Hamptons living in $15 million houses or people in Beverly Hills living in $20 million mansions, they can get all the attention in the world. The government has to do something. It's unfortunate, but our society and our government has just come so desensitized to the needs of essentially lower class people, outcast people. They don't care. Look at the fentanyl crisis. It's the same people dying that are in East Palestine. Nobody cares. It's heartbreaking. I came from a community in Wisconsin that is not well off, Dan. It breaks my heart to see the way these people get treated. It really upsets me. I'm going to be careful. It really upsets me.
To your point, it's evil. I think it's pure evil. I do. I think it's pure evil to put a system in place where you're going to take care of only the wealthy and not. I think our first priority should be people that need our help the most. I've always thought that. Women, children. I know that's a sexist thing to say. I don't care. That's just part of life. Our poor. When something catastrophic happens, we should, I believe, as a society, as normal human beings with normal human being thoughts, rush to their aid, not look away because they can't do anything for us. I think it's pure evil, David. I really do.
Yeah, and here's the most frustrating part. This is why people don't trust the government, right? They're telling people everything's fine. You can drink the water. Your animals are fine. We know that that doesn't appear to be true as far as I can tell, as far as the reporting indicates. Just at a minimum, tell people the truth. Give them the information they need so they can make the best decisions for them. And these people have such little respect for working class Americans of all backgrounds. They won't even do that. It makes me sick to my stomach. It is gross.
It is. And then I saw yesterday, we talked about it at the top of the show. You see some of the fish there. We talked about it at the top of our show. Imagine being in the Ukraine and a reporter for CNN said he had been there 5 days. He saw no bombing, no shooting, no sirens. All of a sudden, here comes Biden doing a photo op, and they blast a war siren. That's pure evil in my mind for a pandering. That is like My God, if I was one of those citizens who had to endure whatever's going on there and I got 5 days of silence and then all of a sudden here comes an alarm, I'd be crapping my pants. But it's only for pandering. It's evil.
If that was done for a photo op, it's completely inexcusable. What I will say is I know some people in Ukraine right now doing some training of those guys out on the east where the war, the front in the east is. And the average lifespan of a new Ukrainian recruit, I think, is less than a day. I mean, they're throwing them into a meat grinder. I have issues with how Ukraine is being handled, but my heart does go out to the good people of Ukraine. A generation of men is being slaughtered over there. And it's terrible. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be asking questions about how much money we're giving them, but it is a meat grinder in the East. It is horrific what is happening.
I agree, and to go for a photo op is just ridiculous. I mean, look, solve the problem, be a part of the solution, great, but my God, pandering and photo ops, screw that. It's a serious business, as you just pointed out. Thanks, my friend. Thanks for coming on short notice.
Not an issue. See you later, Dan.
It's always good talking to David Hookstead. I'm telling you, follow him, D. Hookstead. It's a great follow, great read. If he writes something, read it. If he posts something, watch it. It's literally that simple. It is. I'm sorry, but it is. A Money Wilson, you're becoming one of my favorites. He says Ohio needs to cover the Ohio sign with a Ukraine flag to get Biden to show up, or at least to send a boatload of money. I'm still on this. You know, that Inflation Reduction Act had $1 million in it for a Michelle Obama walkway, path. Like, if somebody told me, hey, Dan, we're going to put in one of our bills $20,000 for you to run a basketball camp in Indianapolis, I'd say, no, you're not. No, you're not. What are you doing? No, you're not charging the taxpayers. Michelle Obama allowing $1 million really irks me. It really blanks me off. I'm not going to lie. It just blanks me off of the arrogance of the what? They owe me? Why would you slip that in that Inflation Reduction Act? Why wouldn't you, if you were a self-respecting, normal freaking human being, Michelle Obama, why would you not say, no. Don't put that on the American people. You guys suck. All right, you just suck. You do. You politicians suck. Drives me nuts. And we're, whatever. All right, who's woke a dope today? It makes me crazy. Makes me nuts. Makes me crazy. Who's today's woke a dope? Oh, man, this is the Babylon Bee. Hunter Biden asked his dad to pick up his paycheck as long as he's in Kiev. Look at Hunter Biden. That's the smartest man Joe Biden knows. That is, right there. That's smartest man Joe Biden knows. Can you believe that? I can believe that. I can believe that smartest guy Joe Biden knows. No, I think so. I think it is. Hey, by the way, I asked a question on don't at me on my Twitter and at don't at me on Twitter, and that question was, where do you think the Love Me tour? Love Me. Derek Carr's on one of those Love Me tours. Mike Krzyzewski, I'm going to announce my retirement at the end of the year so you all can love me. Love me nice. Where will the Derek Carr Love Me tour end? I can't stop looking at Hunter Biden. I'm not going to lie to you. I cannot stop looking at Hunter freaking Biden. That dude looks like he has been, down the road with the coca plant, maybe the methane plant. I don't know. He's been down the road, baby. And you can always tell by the teeth. You can always go to the teeth, ladies and gentlemen. Always, 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 always go to the damn teeth. All right, I think I gave you a bet last night. I hope I did. I hope I gave it to you because it hit. I had a bad Sunday. I mean, honest to God, I had a very bad Sunday. I had a parlay, St. Bonnie and Butler, and they both lost. I'll tell you when I lose. St. Bonnie came back from like 13 down with 3 minutes to go, got it to overtime, 4-point lead, 40 seconds to go, and lost by 3. And in Butler, inexplicably, allowed Georgetown to come in riding a 22-game road losing streak into the cathedral of basketball and beat them. But last night, I made a little bit of scratch back. I wasn't mad. I took West Virginia And I took Kansas +2. Kansas ended up beating TCU at TCU. You give me Kansas plus money, I'm normally going to take it. Here's tonight's action. It's not great, but I like it. I'm taking Xavier at home against Villanova, and I'm doing it in a parlay. You know I like me a parlay, but I'm taking it with a parlay, and this is where it gets a little sexy. The parlay is I'm taking Miami of Ohio at home over Bowling Green. Now, Bowling Green has stunk. It's only a 1.5 point spread, but I'm getting like plus 140 on it. Bowling Green stinks. Miami of Ohio's not very good. It's a bad game. The Millett Center, where Miami of Ohio plays, is arguably the worst gym for atmosphere in the world. It's dark. It is not a basketball arena. They've tried to pick it up, but it's not. I'm not loving this parlay, so I'm not putting the usual 100 to 200. I'm only putting 50 on it. But I got plus money, plus 140, so we'll make a little bit of money on that. A lot of you are asking me about Indiana. Indiana is an underdog tonight at Michigan State. It's going to be a very, very emotional night. It's a 9 o'clock start in East Lansing. It is. It's going to be very emotional. Here's the deal. In East Lansing, it's the first time that the men's basketball team, which is basically the doorway, the window, the front door to the university, and Tom Izzo has been a terrific leader since the shooting on campus, the ridiculous, asinine, never should have happened shooting of murder of 3 students. 5 others are shot by an idiot who should never, ever, ever have been let out of jail. But we have so many freaking prosecutors that are pandering to different communities that refuse to freaking put felons in jail, that have a bond program that puts all of us in danger. And this, ladies and gentlemen, what I just said to you was from the night captain of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police. So don't at me about it. That's verbatim. You don't like it? Tough. Look what's going on in your city and do something about it. But the deal is simply this. I think it's going to be an incredibly emotional night. A lot of you say, well, you know, Michigan State can't lose on that night. I've been to these nights. We were playing after a very emotional Chris Street night. Calbert Chaney making a basket to set the all-time Big Ten scoring record was weird. It was emotional. It was different. Different nights, different emotions, different reasons, and they're all hard. I'm going to take Indiana, but I'm going to take the points. I think Indiana wins the game outright, but it's something to watch. Tonight, ESPN, 9 o'clock, I would recommend watching. I think that ESPN and Michigan State will do a great job with it, particularly Michigan State. Again, it's the first time the students are going to have their basketball team, their flagship program, in front of them. And I think it's going to be good. I do. I am an Indiana guy. I said this earlier, through and through. People think I don't like Indiana. They're right. I love Indiana. It is part of my soul. My brother went to law school. My sister went undergrad and law school. I was there 17 years. My mother went to Indiana. I don't want to hear it. I am a massive Indiana fan, but I got to tell you, I think I'm rooting for Michigan State tonight. I think I am. I do. I think I am. I think I am rooting. I think, look, Indiana, maybe they have a chance to win the Big Ten. That'd be great, men's and women's. But, man, it would be nice to see, after an incredibly devastating shooting, incredibly horrific deal, it would be nice to see Michigan State fans, particularly the students, have some joy. It'd be nice to see a smile. It'd be nice to see them running around excited. It just would. So, and how does that happen? Well, it happens by the start of the game. They got a great crowd usually there, and it happens by winning, period. So if you get a chance, give it a watch. I think you're going to enjoy it. If anybody has any recommendations for how I can whip this cold/COVID/allergies, I am all ears. I'm all ears, because it ain't happening for me. But there you go. Worst cleaning spot, bathroom, kitchen. 1 bathroom, 2 garage, although the garage is fun. 3 attic, 4 kitchen. There you go. Pretty good. Pretty good. I just can't shake it. Anyway, Thank you to everybody that helped us. Aaron, I know you're in Las Vegas. Hope you and Davey. Corey left us. I'm sad about that. But we still got Chuck. And, of course, Dylan and Ryan do absolutely great work. If you wouldn't mind retweeting our show, I got to get more viewers. We're working like crazy. I think this is the best show in the mornings. It's not a high bar, right? I mean, it's really not. The bar isn't that high. But anyway, long story short, thank you, everybody on the YouTube chat. Much appreciated. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Baker Mayfield possibly out of Cleveland.